What is up? It is Maximus MMA, bringing you my full card predictions for UFC Fight Night. Dricus Du Plessis taking on Kamaru Usman, going down in Oklahoma City. Shout out SGA, man. Look, to be honest, this card is complete dog shit. I mean, there's a couple fights that I'm interested in seeing, but largely a pretty weak card, especially coming off UFC 329, where we did go 13-1 on predictions, I believe. So with the lock of the week hitting, we'll be releasing the lock of the week tomorrow. But I will give you a lot of my favorite picks right here. The main event, we do have Dricus Du Plessis taking on Kamaru Usman. Now, Dricus Du Plessis is coming off of that domination loss to Khamzat Chimaev in Chicago 10 months ago. I was actually in Chicago at that time. And, yeah, man, Dricus just looked terrible. I mean, Khamzat kind of just ragdolled him. And the get-up game of Du Plessis was non-existent. And could you attribute that to Khamzat Chimaev just being such an elite grappler? Yeah. But we saw what Sean did to him, and I don't know, man. That was a really bad look for Dricus. I mean, that fight had a lot of hype on it, and he just showed no resistance at all until the last, 20 seconds? I mean, Kamaru Usman, on the other hand, obviously was a long-time champion, and then he got head kicked, and look, he's 39 years old now. But as time's gone on, he started off his MMA career as a grappler, right? Then he fell in love with the striking, especially after he KO'd Jorge Masvidal. And then he seems to have come back to wrestling. At least the way that he fought against Joaquin Buckley. And now, look, I picked Joaquin Buckley in that fight. I thought it was going to be the younger man, was just going to be able to survive the grappling exchanges and beat Kamaru Usman, who, everybody says he has no knees. I mean, he says he has no knees, and I'm sure he has knee problems. I mean, a long fighting career, obviously collegiate wrestling career as ever, right? A long career collegiate wrestling, sorry. That's going to do a number on your body, I get it, but I'm starting to think that stuff's a little bit overblown. Because the way that he looked against Buckley, he looked really good and decently explosive. Now, yeah, that was a year ago. That's what makes this pick hard, man. Because if that was 6 months ago, I'd pretty confidently pick Usman here. But I don't know, man. This is really tough. These odds are absolutely nuts. I get that people think that Dricus is going to come back and just be a little bit too young, and win by falling piano or something. But I don't know, man. I kind of want to take the dog shot at Kamaru Usman. So give me Usman to win this fight. I just have to see Dricus show some sort of grappling resistance before I'm going to pick him against a guy like Kamaru Usman, who, even though he's 39, he's an elite grappler. Like he is. I mean, and yeah, we saw Buckley get dominated the same way against Sean Brady. I don't know. It's a different fight. I just really think that, I don't know, Dricus got to prove it to me. Plus, a loss like that can really hurt your confidence, man. So if Dricus gets put on his back early and starts to get beat up, I don't know. I don't want to say Dricus is a quitter, right? I'm not trying to suggest it at all, but it's just that kind of loss, man. I think that can do something to you. And to pick him at minus 280 against a guy with proven championship pedigree. I mean, Kamaru Usman was literally former pound for pound. Come on, man. Give me Kamaru Usman to win this fight by decision. The one thing that does scare me, though, is 5 rounds. If this was 3 rounds, I'd be confident in Usman, really, really confident. But 5 rounds, it does make it a little tougher. I'm still going to go Usman now. Then the co-main event, it's kind of crazy how these two are getting matched up here with Jared Cannonier and Christian Leroy Duncan. Because, look, I like Jared Cannonier, right? But I've been a fader of Jared Cannonier pretty much since the Marvin Vettori fight. I was like, dude, he's getting old. He's 40. There's no way he's going to beat a dog like Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov destroyed him. There's no way he's going to beat Kyle Braujo. Kyle Braujo beat him in a competitive decision. And RoboCop, hey, you guys know I love RoboCop, man. Look, RoboCop gassed out, but RoboCop was knocking Jared Cannonier all over the place. I mean, he almost knocked him out 2 or 3 different times. Ended up just gassing out, but a really good win for Jared. He's kind of due for an upset, right? Because he'd been getting just beaten to a pulp before. And then I picked Michael Venom Page to completely just be way too quick for the 40-something-year-old Jared Cannonier. And I told all my friends to bet on it that night, and Michael Venom Page won easily. And I'm not even super high on Michael Venom Page, but Jared Cannonier is slowing down, right? And I can't blame him. He's 42 years old. He's been through wars. I mean, this guy has fought everybody. Everybody. Hell, I mean, he's even fought Sean Strickland, the current champ. So, I mean, he's fought everybody. And Christian Leroy Duncan is one of the fastest guys at this weight class. It's going to be very similar to his Michael Page fight, except I think that CLD just has a little bit more consequence on the feet and can likely find a finish. To me, he needs a finish here because if you're going to beat anything in this middleweight division, I think that you have to be able to finish a 42-year-old Jared Cannonier. All due respect to Cannonier, you got to finish a guy like this. At this stage of your career, you're 30 years old, 31, and you're fighting prime on a 4-fight win streak, right? He's been finishing guys like Eric Anders, who's not very good. Marco Tulio, that was a really good win at the time. And then kind of beat Roman Dolidze to a boring decision where, honestly, CLD didn't look as good as I thought he was going to, but Roman Dolidze is an absolute bum. So I'm really not surprised that he won that fight. I mean, I was like, dude, CLD is the lock of the year against Dolidze. And it was closer than I thought it'd be. But again, Dolidze sucks. So it does kind of concern me if you can't finish Dolidze. Are you going to finish Cannonier? Again, if this was Cannonier 5-6 years ago, this might be a different story. But I'm going to pick CLD pretty confidently to win this fight by knockout. That's one of my favorite picks of the week. Because again, CLD has been a guy I've been riding with forever. And Jared Cannonier has been a guy that I've been fading forever. And the exact thing that CLD brings to the table, which is speed and power, is the exact reason why I've been fading Jared Cannonier as he's entered his 40s, because the speed of Jared Cannonier is visibly depleted. I mean, he's not the same man he was 5-6 years ago. And again, that's just natural, right? That's how the human body works. So it's no slight against Cannonier. I know he works like a freaking horse, man, but every dog has his day. If you're enjoying the video so far, by the way, please like, comment, subscribe. We're going to keep on pumping out some really good content and some really good picks for you all. Just quick reminder there, but let's hop right into Chase Hooper against Mitch Ramirez. Look, this is a fight that's honestly a joke. I mean, Chase Hooper, I love the nickname. I didn't even know his nickname was The Dream, because he is a dream. He's never going to be anything in this sport. Chase Hooper is a fraud. Look, people like Chase Hooper because he looks like a nerdy white guy, right? And he's got a goofy personality, and to me, he's honestly cringe. He made some joke about, like, gooning, and I'm like, bro, you're a grown-ass man. Like, shut up. But anyways, I'm not really a fan of this guy. And again, he just sucks. I mean, he got KO'd by Alexander Hernandez, who, don't even get me started on him. He's a fucking terrorist. And then Lance Gibson Jr. kills him. And the thing is that Chase Hooper is a huge favorite in every fight. For what? He's not dangerous on the feet whatsoever. Now, he does have great jiu-jitsu and grappling. But it's like, dude, he's submitting Borshev, who has absolutely no ground game. He beat up 50-year-old Clay Guida. Like, congrats. And the Jim Miller win with a decent win, but also a 40-something-year-old Jim Miller, where what? Jim Miller is also a grappling specialist. So it's like you're going to take the younger, bigger guy. I mean, it's a good matchup for him. Guys that have danger on the feet can give Chase Hooper a real problem, but look, Mitch Ramirez is absolutely nothing. I mean, this tattoo is disgusting. I hope he was drunk when he got that. Holy shit, that's embarrassing. Look, Mitch Ramirez sucks, man. I mean, he's nothing. He's never had any success at this level. Yeah, I mean, getting Carlos Prates in the Contender Series, I'm sorry about that one, brother. That's a tough draw. But, Thiago Moises also freaking sucks. And then Mike Davis is pretty decent, but yeah, man. Look, if you're still betting on Chase Hooper in 2026, you have something wrong with you. Again, he's only 26, so maybe I shouldn't have said he's never going to be something in the sport, but to me, he just doesn't have the meanness, the aggressiveness on the feet. And again, his toughness, bro, I don't know what his toughness is, if he's even in the new UFC game. That shit should be on like 10 out of 99. Like, this dude gets hit hard, bro. He covers up and quits. So, there's a chance that Mitch Ramirez could hit him hard and make him quit. I'm going to expect Chase Hooper to probably just show him levels in the ground and probably get a submission win. Looks like the majority of people are picking that. But yeah, anybody who thinks that Chase Hooper is a good bet or somebody to continue to run with in the future, you're in a dream. Hence the nickname. Look, if the UFC is going to give him layup matchups like this, maybe he can win fights. I mean, again, I'm picking him to win by submission. Seems like everybody is, but he's never going to beat real guys consistently. He's just not. He doesn't have it. And then we've got Tabitha Ritchie taking on Fatima Klein. Fatima Klein is pretty good. She throws a lot of nice kicks to the body. I really like her teep to the body. And yeah, she's pretty long and rangy for the weight class. When you see her at 5'6" compared to Ricci's 5'1". And Ricci is just a girl who's kind of gotten away from what made her decent. I mean, like, when she was at her absolute best, beating people like Angela Hill, she was really forcing the clinch, right? And making it a little dirty and making girls work. Now she got this boyfriend. I think she's dating Callum Walsh, who's some kind of mid-level boxer. And she's kind of thinks that she's a boxer now, even though, like, she's just not. So, considering that I do think that Ricci is going to think she's a boxer, I'm going to pick Fatima Klein here with pretty high confidence because I like the well-rounded game of Fatima Klein, and I really like her kicks to the body. I think that's one of the best skills she has. Uh, and yeah, I mean, and also beating Angela Hill, which yes, Ricci beat her too, but that was 2 years ago, right? Yeah, 2 years essentially. And I think that's a decent win. And Fatima Klein kind of beat her pretty easily, if I remember. So, not too many people are doing that to Angela Hill. I'm going to pick Fatima Klein to win this fight, probably by decision, because I think Ricci is pretty tough. Then we've got an actually entertaining fight with Tommy McMillan against Humberto Montes. McMillan is undefeated in his pro career, and he's literally like one of the most wild man fighters on the roster right now. I mean, if you saw his Contender Series matchup, he just goes in there swinging wild against a guy that he was just sent in there to beat. He just looked, again, just threw wild punches, essentially. Montez, on the other hand, on the feet is relatively technical, but I don't think he's that great. He doesn't have, like, his boxing is pretty meh, and, I mean, he has some decent kicks, I guess, but he's really makes his money on the ground, particularly with chokes, and a la Paddy Pimblett, right, kind of chokes. And look, this fight's kind of hard to pick because you're picking Tommy McMillan if you think that he can cause enough chaos and also enough controlled chaos where Montez doesn't snatch up a choke. Because if Montez, McMillan, when he does these kind of combinations where he's really throwing like this, he does put his head in positions where you could snatch up a neck, and Montez is extremely good at grabbing people's necks. So I'm going to pick Tommy McMillan anyways, though. Really, the reason why is because I didn't like the way that Montez was backing up on the feet against Ricky Tercios. And if Ricky Tercios is making you back up, Tommy McMillan is going to make you back up too. I don't really like that, man, for him. And also this KO loss against Lukowski, Montez got caught kind of pulling out of the pocket. And again, like a guy like McMillan, I think he's going to keep on going after him. Do I think that McMillan's really that good? No. But I think that his style against Montez, I think it could certainly work on the feet. Obviously, the threat here is if McMillan, through the chaos, puts himself in a position to be choked, which is very possible. And I'm sure that majority of people picking Montez are going to pick him by sub, which makes sense. I'm going to go with McMillan, though, by KO, but I could see a decision. So, yeah, give me Tom McMillan. And then we've got a fight where, look, man, I'm a little torn on this one. And I think a lot of people are, because Jose Delgado is a good prospect, right? I mean, he beat Connor Matthews, who's not that great. But the Hyder Emil win was really good. And it hasn't aged too well. Hyder Emil's chin has seemed to have gone at this point, unfortunately, for him. But it was a really nice knee up the middle, which will be in play against Austin Bashi. We'll get to him in a second. Lost a close fight against Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood, though, is a legitimate top 15 guy at this weight class, and he also dropped Nathaniel Wood in the first round, I believe. Then he won a tough fight against Andre Fili. That is what worries me here, is because a lot of people, myself included, kind of thought that he'd blow Fili out of the water, and he didn't. And honestly, he could have lost that fight. I think, in my opinion, he did win that fight, if I remember correctly, but it was very close. It was certainly 2-1. And, yeah, man, like, I don't know. That performance does worry me a little bit. But on the contrary, you have Austin Bashi, who, to me, is so disappointing. Like, he's literally like this freaking little midget wrestler, right? And he's going to look freaking small against Delgado here. I mean, a 5'11 Delgado, 5'6". I don't even know if Bashi's actually 5'6". To me, he looks 5'4". But the point is that he's a great wrestler. But he absolutely is, he fights like a wuss. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm being disrespectful. Look, he's 14-1. Clearly, he's a good fighter. He's been fighting since he was 18. I mean, like, dude, like, he's just one of those grapplers that doesn't throw punches. He just wants to take you down and hold you, and it's just so boring. It's like, bro, it's a freaking fight. Like, we don't want to watch you, like, dry hump some dude. Look, I get I'm sounding like a casual, but, like, bro, just watch that Austin Bashi fight, bro. It's embarrassing. And, I mean, like, this Dorian Ramos guy, like, he's literally playing with him. Like, it was just like, dude, you're obviously, like, 10 times the grappler. Go out there and punch a freaking hole through his face. Show us you want to be a fighter. He didn't prove that in that fight. Got fraud checked by C-Rod, which C-Rod tends to do. And he beat John Giannis, who was a victim and just not a good fighter, really. Not that great. I mean, he looked decent his last time out, but, you know, we're talking decent. Right, the low, low, low level of UFC featherweight. I mean, what does it really mean? You're ranked, you know, 70, 80th like Giannis is. This is one of those fights, dude, where, like, everybody's picking Delgado, and I want to pick Delgado, but for some reason, dude, I think that I can't shake this feeling that for some reason, bro, Austin Bashi is going to just be a terrorist and just going to lay on him for 3 rounds. I mean, like, can you tell me you can't see that happening? I'm going to pick Austin Bashi. Look, I'm not going to say I'm rooting against him because maybe this fight he'll wake up and be like, hey, bro, like, you can actually throw punches. This is an MMA fight. Like, we're not wrestling. We can throw punches, Austin. Like, that's allowed. I don't know if he's going to do that, but I do know that Jose Delgado can get taken down. And I just think that if you're going to be special in this division, I think that you should be finishing a guy like Andre Fili. Look at Vinicius Oliveira, right? I'm not saying he's special, but he's a tab above Jose Delgado, right? And he's the kind of guy where I knew he'd finish Fili. And he did. Fili's a gatekeeper, man. And if you're going to a freaking life and death decision with them, I'm worried for you, man. Bashi, again, is just not that good. But I think he's got potential. I mean, he's 24. Give me Austin Bashi to win by decision. I don't love it, but for whatever reason, I just can't shake this feeling that that's what's going to happen. And then we've got Suk Young Ko against Jean-Paul Labossiani. Look, Suk Young Ko has been a guy who has had some success in the UFC. I mean, he won a Contender Series, and then he beat Oban the Fraud Elliott. Look, I've known Oban Elliott's a freaking fraud, man. I mean, he barely beat the landscaper. It's just, Oban Elliott's never really been that good. But then he beat Phil Rowe, and I believe he also beat Phil Rowe. John Paul, yeah. Suk Young Ko, though, is a decent grappler, and he's got a little bit of thud on the feet. He likes to come forward. And Jean-Paul Labossiani is a guy who's really good on the ground. Like, he's got really good subs throughout his career. If you actually watch his earlier fights, he's nasty on the ground. And you know, he went to a tough fight with Phil Rowe, but I think Phil Rowe's decent. And the way that Ko beat Phil Rowe is a lot of kind of dominant control from top position. And Phil Rowe is pretty bankrupt, right? He's like a tall, lanky dude. Like, he really has no skills off his back whatsoever. Jean-Paul does. So the way that he beat Phil Rowe is not going to work against Jean-Paul. And again, Oban Elliott to me is a fraud. Like, he's a fraud. I mean, we saw him get destroyed by Mikalev too, which was an obvious pick. So, I don't know, bro. This one's really hard to call. I think these odds kind of make sense because people are putting respect on Ko's name now after some decent wins in the UFC. Which again, I'm hating on Oban Elliott, but people see it as a good win, and it's a decent win. I just think that... man, this one's tough to call. I'm going to go with Ko. He's more proven in the UFC. He beat Phil Rowe a little easier, but this fight to me is pretty 50-50. It looks like most people are going with Ko, but again, I just think that Ko, who's been employing some decent grappling, I think he's got to be careful with Labossiani off his back. So I'm going to go Ko to win this fight by decision, but this one could get weird, and I could definitely see a submission for Labossiani, who has decent kicks as well. Now we start to get into the weird fights in the card. Look, Felipe Franco is a guy who came into the UFC, and he gave Mario Pinto, who's a pretty hyped-up prospect, a decent fight. And he lost that fight, but it was pretty close. Thought he gave a decent showing to himself. Now he's taking on Levi Rodriguez, who just popped for steroids. And he's coming back not too long after being popped for steroids. Dude, like, these kind of fights are just hard to pick. It's like, bro, like, what are we really talking about here? Honestly, I know a lot of people are picking Franco here. Even though this says the community. It's going with Rodriguez. I just don't know what Rodriguez has proven at 5-0 to pick him over Franco when Franco did look pretty decent against Mario Pinto. And Levi Rodriguez is coming off of a steroids abuse. What's he going to look like off the steroids? It's one of those where it's a low-level fight, low-level heavyweight fight, or light heavyweight fight. I think they're actually a light heavyweight for this fight. Point is, though, it's very hard to tell who's going to win this fight. So these odds to me seem pretty crazy, especially because Franco has more experience, is younger, and has proven more in his career. So I'm going to go with Franco because I don't know what Rodriguez is going to look like after post-steroids. I'd like to see these face-offs. This is one of those fights where, like, if you're going to bet on it, I think you want to see the face-offs because if Levi Rodriguez comes in there looking pudgy and, like, weak, like, I'd pick Franco. Like, then it might be worth touching it, but before those face-offs, man, it's really hard to, like, say, like, yeah, this is a good thing to bet on, especially when you're talking about such low-level fighting here. I'm going to pick Franco to win, though, by KO. But at the same time I say KO, I'm actually switching. I'm going to say a slop decision, bro. For some reason, I feel like this could just be one of those fights where we're back to dudes that are, like, kind of, like, just laying on each other and just kind of sloppy fight. Expect a sloppy fight, man. So, honestly, I usually prefer sloppy fights to go to decision. And then we've got Alden Correa taking on Stuart Nickel. I know that Alden Correa looked pretty good in the UFC against Alessandro Costa, who just got a decent win. And then, of course, he beat Luis Gurule, who is, like, the definition of mid. But Luis Gurule is, like, a UFC gatekeeper level where, like, are you good enough to be in the UFC? Let's give him Gurule. I think he's good for that. Stuart Nickel had a bunch of hype coming in off the Australian scene against Jesus Aguilar. Got destroyed. Lucas Hocha beat him. Alessandro Costa killed him. Literally just MMA mathing it. This guy, Correa beat Alessandro Costa. He's a good striker. Stuart Nickel got destroyed by him. We're going to go with Correa here. Stuart Nickel, to me, just is not good. Like, he's just not good. He looks weak. And we're going to pick Correa to win. Odds here are nuts, but come on now. Nothing really to say on this fight. Then we've got another steroid abuser in Alvin Hines, who, again, is fighting for the first time after steroid use. And he looked like shit against Jonathan Denise. I mean, before that, he was getting wins, but he's on steroids. And now he's not. So now he's coming off a loss, no longer on the sauce. He's going to take on a guy who's 5-0, who's much taller than him. Both guys are legit heavyweights, though. But a guy who's got a decent left hook. That's the thing about RJ Harris. He kind of came from fighting off of, like, freaking Rough and Rowdy or some bullshit like that. It's insane. So, like, again, just a complete slop fight. But I kind of like RJ Harris in this fight. Again, I'm fading the steroid people, bro. I'm fading the steroid favorites. Like, if Alvin Hines was still on steroids, maybe. But, like, dude, I'm not buying that shit. He's 34. Testosterone levels are probably starting to go down a little bit naturally. Now he's not on steroids. He's going to take a 27-year-old guy on who's been getting a lot of finishes. Again, very inexperienced. But I don't know how you could be super confident in this fight. I might do a little bit more tape study on this one, though. Because I say, like, how can you be super confident? But I don't know. I need to revisit this and really check out Hines. Because honestly, RJ Harris could be a decent pick here this week. Maybe not the lock of the week. Maybe it is. I don't know. I've got some ideas. So, but yeah, give me RJ Harris to win. Really just because, again, we're fading the steroid guys. And I like the fact that he's getting finishes. And in the few fights I've seen, he actually does have a decent left hook. I mean, you saw him get a KO with it against a bum in LFA. But I like the size advantage, too. So give me RJ Harris to win this fight by KO. Then we've got Anna Meliciano taking out Diani Barbosa. Look, this is one of those fights, too, where, like, Diani Barbosa, to me, is pretty overrated. I don't think she's that good. This is, like, the typical woman's fight where, like, you have a woman who's a huge favorite, and you're like, dude, like, maybe? I think it's recency bias here. Because Barbosa, I mean, you beat Melissa Gatto. Sure. Great. Not that good of a fighter, in my opinion. Lost to Karine Silva. Karine Silva has turned out to be not very good. Beats Diana Belbita. I don't even know who the heck this is, bro. Call me a casual. Like, I mean, she's 15-9 in women's fighting. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, your mom might beat that woman up. And then Miranda Maverick lost. Miranda Maverick is decent, but, like, not that great. And now she's beating girls who I don't even think are in the UFC. Anna Meliciano, though, was on a decent roll. And she lost in the Ultimate Fighter. But people forget, man. Look, she was the first overall pick on Michael Bisping's team in this year of the Ultimate Fighter. And yeah, she lost in a pretty big upset. Because she's kind of monotonous striking. Like, she throws a lot of, like, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's never, like, and you see this a lot in women's fighting, though. But it's never 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, like, big combinations. It's always like, okay, here's 1 or 2 punches. Okay, here's a jab. Okay, oh, 1-2, now I'll throw a hook. You know, it's just like, let's see some explosion here. But I did like in the last round when she lost the first two. She switched it up and started throwing step and elbows and was actually having some decent success with that. So I do like the fact that she's a fighter that has proven she can adapt mid-fight. And to me, it's like a girl who's a first overall pick on that show at plus 330 against Diana Barbosa, who's decent, but like, is she really that good? I don't think so, man. I'm going to pick Meliciano to win. I think that a lot of people are sleeping on her because she lost in the Contender Series. Look, and not the Contender Series, the Ultimate Fighter. Look, dude, if that Ultimate Fighter fight never happened, you're telling me she'd be plus 330 against Diana Barbosa, who has beaten nobody of real note, in my opinion, in the UFC? Maybe I'm forgetting something, bro, but like, yeah, I mean, who does she beat? That's like relevant. Who is she beat that is relevant here? I mean, come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Yeah, give me Meliciano because Melisano, sorry, because again, I think people are sleeping on her just because the Ultimate Fighter. She looked like shit, but I think that might motivate her to come back. And then we've got Damian Anderson against Israel Elliott. Look, this nickname makes no sense to me. I mean, bro's name is Demon Hands, but he's just a submission ace. He's taking on Ezra Elliott, who's also kind of just a submission guy. And yeah, he got a KO in his last fight, but it was against a guy who was like freaking 40 years old, and he was 8-8, and he was put in there to lose to the young prospect to get Elliott into the UFC. Look, this is a Contender Series fight, so I mean, it's hard to say because it's probably the first time either of them are fighting competition that they could lose to, if that makes sense. I'm going to go with Damian Anderson, though, because I like his striking a little better. I like the fact that he kind of bounces around. He's very side to side with his movement. And, yeah, honestly, this fight, though, is very hard to pick. I mean, like, you have two submission guys. I just like Damian Anderson striking a little bit better. And really, whoever's going to win is probably the guy who's going to get on top first. That's probably how this fight's going to go. So, yeah, it's going to do it for UFC Fight Night. Dricus du Plessis against Kamaru Usman. Only 12 fights. And also, I gotta bring this up. Why the fuck did Kevin Holland pull out against Jacoby Smith, man? I had that in my fights, fights I was looking forward to. It's not even happening anymore. My top 5 fights that need to happen before the end of the year. Anyways, just sad. Dude, this card is so weak. After they lost that fight, this card is so weak, man. But yeah, I'm going to release Lock of the Week tomorrow. I think I'm going to cook up something decent. This is one of those fights where, like, there's just some really wide underdogs. So it's like, I'm kind of deciding whether or not I want to take like a parlay of like some of the guys I'm really confident in, or if I just want to take a shot at somebody who I think could get it done as an underdog. But yeah, I guess time will tell with that. As always, it was Maximus MMA. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the video. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow at the Lock of the Week.